Have you ever considered the reason why you went to school and why you even continue to further your education beyond maybe a bachelor's degree? Could it be it was as a result of programming that has kept you in that cycle? The success programming, which was a default programming and a skewed one that made you to believe that that path was the pathway to financial success. Is it possible that that's why you and I and many others have often looked at school as the best way to make things work for us from a financial standpoint? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you a short clip again with an interview I did with my best one, my very good friend, Miss Mabel from Talk to Me Africa. Last week, I posted a short clip of that same interview, and I said it was a very lengthy one. So I decided to piecemeal it. And this time, I'm just going to share a section where we went a little deep into that part of the conversation. The issue of rising debt in our communities. And one of the reasons for the rising debt is student loans. Let's watch this short clip. I hope this will help you today. Take a look.
What are some of the social and financial effects, right, of rising debt in our community, say like student loan, for example? How does that affect our social life? The fact that people are getting so much into debt, and even if you are already in debt, the interest rate and your inability to pay them on time just keeps increasing. And so you get, sworn and you get just so much debt on you. How does that affect your social life, being in debt and your social life?
Okay, that's a good question.
Mm.
I'm going to unpack this from a very different perspective. I want to start somewhere. Again, because a lot of these things really start from mindset.
Mm.
So that's where I'm going to start, because here's the thing. A lot of time when people ask these questions, they focus on the effects and symptoms and never the cause. Okay. And until you can solve or identify the root cause of a problem, that problem always persists.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back. And I'm going to start asking some questions so we can peel the onions. Why am I taking school loans?
Because I cannot pay for.
Because I want to pay for my school fees.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Why am I in school?
Oh, because I need to learn,
That's to be one, right? Because I need to learn, right? Because I want to learn. But there are many reasons why some people are in school. You could just going to school and acquiring that degree could also be that social status for some people that they want to acquire. They want to be called doctor, blah, blah, blah. They want that title. So for some people, it's a social status motivation. For some people, it's family influence. Hey, all of us are doctors and you're not going to be any less. For some people, oh, none of my family went to school, so I'm going to be the first. Okay. So our motivations for going to school, when you really start peeling it, in a lot of instances, it was not really to acquire education. And I'm going to explain why I say so. Because the acquisition of education, in fact, I need to find a book and read an excerpt from it. But the man once quoted, he said, the main primary reason of education is to allow me to live life. That's number one. And then another guy mentioned something. He said, the purpose of education is action, is to allow me to do something. How many of us have actually acquired that education? And that education is directly related to the actions we are now taking and the life we are now living. Most of the time, you don't. Okay, so you went to acquire a piece of paper. It's not correlating with your lifestyle, and it's not enabling you to solve life's problems. And the whole purpose of education is to enable you to have the resources to solve your life's problems. And if you're not able to solve it at this level, then the question is, does acquiring more of it going to lead you to the solution to the problems you are currently facing? Because if one of the problems you're facing is money, and you have already acquired a certain level of education, and that education is not solving that money problem for you,
more education would not.
How did you arrive at the conclusion that if I acquire more, it will help me in solving this problem?
So you're getting into more debt, thinking you're going to solve a problem, but you're actually not. So that's why you say, ask yourself the reason, why am I going to school? Which would lead me into some student loan debt, and that's going to affect my social life.
So we're going to peel it back again now. Now, for some of us, we're coming from an environment, and this is not, some of this is not by mistake. This is by design from a long time ago. When you look at the academic curriculums across the globe, you really don't see much about finances.
No.
Of personal finance, how to manage money, how to handle your money. You don't see that. No. So it's intentional, right? So now we are not taught on that. And now it has been nicely designed to link some degree of success to academics. So most of us, especially if you come from a background where maybe most of your parents were illiterate or whatever, they will encourage you going to school because now the perception of people going to school to be successful is so high. So then over time, we have come to believe that if I go to school, I will be successful in life. Now, granted, education is necessary. It's a necessary pillar because illiteracy in its purest form, not being able to read or write, has a significant impact on whoever. Okay? However, if your whole premise for going to school is that, then you're completely missing. Because if that was the only premise for going to school, I'll tell you this, after 7th grade, you are good to go.
So you do see a lot of people who talk about, I'm the first in my family to go to college, to get a degree. So that excitement is, I have elevated my status or my family status because now there's a degree holder in my family. But they don't look at the fact that that degree has brought some debt into your family, that even though you're elevating your family social status by having that paper, like you call it, that degree, you are also demoting their social life because the debt you put yourself in is going to affect your social life unless you were able to pay for that degree out of pocket, unless you're able to get some 100% scholarship. There is some effect to your social life when it comes to student loan. A lot of it, actually.
And I'll get to that part too, right? Because what I want to do is to unravel some exposed to help some people to start uncovering their inclinations and their motivations for why they are doing certain things. Don't get me wrong, school is good. I got mine too. I have a master's degree. So I'm not bashing going to school. But like I think Benjamin Franklin once said, he said, don't let your school get into your education. Because going to school doesn't necessarily mean you're being educated.
Right.
In today's era, you can have a PhD level education without going to Harvard. But you can have Harvard level education if you want, right? So if you can have that, why go spend all that money, right? Why go spend all that money to go to school? Because if you're really after education, There is a lot you can have today without going to pay. So that tells me that you have put so much value on that certificate, on that piece of paper, than the real knowledge that you claim to say you are after. Because if you're after knowledge, you really need not go to 4 walls or pay anyone, because there's a lot of information available today at your fingertips, right here, your phone.
Yeah.
But we are still spending thousands of dollars going to school because there is a different motivation for doing that. And it is that motivation that if you truly uncover, you realize that maybe you have really wasted resources going something about the wrong way. Because you have to ask yourself, if money is the problem, is that path, education, going to
The
that
solution.
school, finding that bachelor's degree, that master's and that PhD, is that path, is that route the only route, the most optimal route to achieve that result? For some people, it has worked because some things merged or some things converged for them, and it worked. Great. But the truth is, for the majority, it is not, and it hasn't. Right? So education is about you really personally identifying what works for you. And the whole purpose of education is to allow us to start thinking critically, which is what a lot of us have gone through school, but we have not been able to develop our critical thinking. So now you can see someone who has a finance degree, but when you position something before them, an opportunity and a strategy that can help them make money, they are not able to use critical thinking to examine it and then make a decision to pursue it. Because again, psycho-cybernetics, a way of living, a way of behaving, a way of doing things have been so programmed in you and I, so much so that even when those opportunities show up, we are unable to make the decision based on even facts when it's there. So now you see someone like Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich.
This is something I have observed after interviewing over 500 people who were millionaires in his time. It took 20 years of research before he wrote that book. Here is a common thread I found. He said the people who were wealthy were quick at making decisions, but slow to changing it. He said, but he also noticed a very converse reaction to the average and the poor people. They hesitated, they delayed in making decisions, but they were so quick to changing it. How true that is in our society today or in our community. Let me come to my community, because this topic is so dear to my heart.
It is.
As a people, and there's a question that we're going to unpack this even more, because we as a people, we are so quick to making changes. And the state of affairs today, where you can put your food in a microwave and in 2 minutes it's hot, it has made our perception callous when it comes to opportunities. Because we are looking for quick results.
Yeah.
However, here's the conundrum I have at the same time. You find people who are willing to go to school for 4 years, 6 years, to come up with a degree that does not guarantee them any income yet. No school has guaranteed anyone a job when you finish. Not school. But why are you and I so willing to pursue that path?
Wow. I hope this short video today got you to start thinking about your own motivation why you went to school. I hope it helped you to see or to question maybe some of your motivations, or to start examining your beliefs about why you went to school, why you decided to go into that graduate degree. And like I said, I'm not bashing school. I went to it as well. I also have my own degrees. But I have realized now that there is really a problem and a flaw that we need to understand, such that we can actually go to school with a very different intention about it. And if we can do that, I think then that can really become a tool. Because like one man once said, I read that quote from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win People and Influence Friends, right? And he said, the whole purpose of going to school is to help me to solve my life's problems. So if the school I'm going to, or if the schooling I'm doing is not helping me to solve my life's problems, then maybe I should check my schooling. That's all I have. That's all I wanted to point out today. Let's all evaluate, because there's something brewing, and we are so locked into this trajectory and this path that for most of us it seems to be very futile. Very few people have had their purpose, their passion merge or converge or align with the academic route. For most of us, it's not. It has its benefits, but let's examine it such that we can know when not to pursue, not to continue in that route, and to explore other avenues that can truly bring about freedom on 3 levels: financial, time, and location. I hope this helps you today. And remember this, with all of your getting, get understanding. Have a great day.